Alright, just got done watching Inuyasha Season 1, Episode 1. The girl who overcame time and the boy who was just overcome. Interesting title considering what happens. It has a immediately this show sets it off. There was no intro sequence, like no cold open, I guess they call it. And it just went right to the theme, which was a much more symphonic, not a pop song at all, kind of theme song. I would need to hear it more times to give you a proper opinion of it. But immediately, the show establishes itself with, what we find out later is sort of a flashback. So it's not completely clear, but Inuyasha, or the main guy with the cat ears, the long white hair, the fox boy of sorts, um, and he's running away from a bunch of people trying to get at him because he's trying to steal the sacred jewel, and he strikes down. Was it Kikino, who was apparently an excellent warrior, as around, and she also gets a final blow into him with sort of an eternal arrow that she shoots into him. So it's sort of somewhat mysterious, the full mythos, but it throws you right in, which I found very interesting, and sort of implies this lead character to be this sort of great, uncontrollable anti-hero. Um, and he's the demon boy, and he's this little, powerful alternative bad boy, and he's like Inuyasha. Immediately, I think to myself, like I watched the show a little bit on my TV when I was a teenager, or a young teenager, I guess, and it was on slightly later than the Naruto's. And I just remember it being very uh, intimidating. I found it to be intimidating. That's my memory of it, and not something that I felt was for me at the time. But this is far more compelling than the other series I've been watching, because it just throws right into the mythos. And I think, one of my notes here says something that it's creative and adult. Like this is it's not truly adult because it's still sort of a trope laden sort of shonen saga. It's not really a shonen though. It's definitely this is not necessarily male oriented fully at all, without a doubt. Um, but yeah, it's just and so then it flashes back to this, or flashes forward, I guess, to what was her name? Kagome. Kagome. Yeah, Kagome, 15-year-old girl living in present day Japan, 1997, and she's searching for her lost cat or whatever, and she ends up with her like little brother or something into her like cellar. And there's a lot of jokes, like she lives in this sort of shrine kind of thing, which is she kind of appears like Salem Mars, but let's not talk. But this whole like she's a 15-year-old girl growing up with a guy, or growing up in a temple with her cat Buyo, and my running theory was that the cat is Inuyasha, and I was wrong as far as I could tell. But I thought it was pretty clever to think that. I thought this Buyo cat, because the cat kept like running around and into the scenarios that led up to her inevitably. And this is where the show kind of kicked off in my head. I went, oh, okay. And she goes into the cellar and kind of falls down and has this sort of psychedelic experience with this caterpillar, um, sort of Venus de Milo statue, meets sort of a Hydra kind of looking big dragon monster giant thing, which was also, yeah, it was and incredibly trippy. Um, and I believe that was supposed to be this Kikino's, like, oh, I'm trying to find my sacred jewel, but then so what it comes to essentially is that she comes out of this well in her basement of the shrine or whatever, into sort of a feudal Japan kind of place, where she's exploring for a while, and she finds, the Inuyasha. And what I found very strange was that she reacts, Kagame, to this sort of semi-dead or dead body, with its head passed out all like this, uh, and a snake kind of wrapped around it with an arrow in its heart. And she is just more curious about his little fox boy ears than she is about coming across a dead body. Which is, and as the show goes on, I actually found that to be way more interesting of a character kind of thing. I thought it was just weird writing or something, but or fan service, I suppose. The fetishization of this sort of alternative sexy demon waifu fox boy. But as it went on, and as she runs into this city, and the leader of the city is Kikino's sister Kade, um, who's now an old woman, in her 80s or whatever. And she was just a little kid in a flashback at the beginning of the show. And she's very hesitant. Everyone does some ritualistic stuff, and she's not happy, but she's not too freaked out. She's just like, how did I end up here? What's going on? Come on, guys, let's see what's going on. And and then she starts to like her once she kind of picks up on the sense that she reminds her a lot of Kikino. And they get attacked by the giant lizard monster, Greek god lady, and it's huge, and it's just fucking destroying their village. It's just destroying this feudal Japanese village like nobody's business. I loved how high stakes that was, honestly. It's just huge dragon villain, evil spirit. Yeah. But Kagame, going back to her her go with the flow attitude is actually probably going to be something that she is all about. That's part of the character, and I found that pretty exciting. And then she ends up kind of cornered against this monster who's chasing after her, and then the monster attacks her in a way where she scratches her body or some weird thing. And she has the sacred crystal, the sacred jewel, this MacGuffin of ours, and but then she has secret powers, and that's always exciting. And she kind of gets the demon to fuck off for a second, and it doesn't really work. And then eventually Inuyasha convinces her to pull out the arrow in his chest, and he's so strong, so crazy. And she's like, I thought you were supposed to be the hero. And I just thought, it was a great dynamic. It makes me ask some great questions, and it's a very stimulating kind of fantasy that this show proposes. With it throws you right into the mythos of the show, and I find that much more exciting than your kind of slow exposition or childish kind of freak of the week emphasize. This seemed to emphasize much more of a grander arc in some ways, left us as off on a cliffhanger of Inuyasha is super powerful and what's going to go on now. And she's still in feudal Japan. It's just that. We'll see where it goes. I think this could be quite an epic, if that's quite possible. And I actually don't remember anything about this show. It turns out I do remember the fucking cute, sexy waifu demon boy thing. I think that's pretty funny and pretty cool. Yeah, we'll see if this is any good. But so far, this is definitely I'd rather just be watching than talking. But name of the game. Thanks for watching.